run a command in bash. Bash is said to be running a job. So your command is a job for it to do. Normally when we run a command interactively, we wait for the command to finish before we expect to give another command. When we are doing that, that job is considered to be what we call in the foreground. So it's getting its input from the keyboard. Whatever you type on the keyboard will go to the job, and its output is on the screen. Any output it produces will just come out on your screen. And as we already know, scripts or jobs can send their input and output elsewhere. They can get their input from files, they can send their output to files, they can send their output through pipes, they can get their input from a pipe, and so on. Bash watches when a job starts and knows when a job ends. When the job ends, Bash knows to put the next prompt up to get the next job to run, the next command. Sometimes when you run a command, you don't need to sit and wait for it to finish. It may take a long time, it may not, but you may not have any need to sit and watch it run. It may not need input from you, it may not produce output that comes to you, and you may not even need to know when it finishes. You would just like to go on with the next task. You could start the command running in something like a terminal window, start another window with another bash shell to do another command in. But very soon you'll have a lot of windows running, plus you're wasting a lot of system resources that you don't need to. When you have a job that you don't need to sit and watch and doesn't need access to your keyboard, you can run that command in what we call the background. In other words, the process can be running, but not be the main thing that's taking over your screen and keyboard. You can get your bash prompt back right away to do something else while the command or job runs. Starting a command in the background is done by putting ampersand at the end of the command line. If I have a command, and we'll use the simple command sleep for our example, that just waits around for 5 seconds. Doesn't produce any output, doesn't care about input, just waits around for 5 seconds and then ends. That might be an example of a command that we don't need to wait around for. It'll process and do its thing regardless of us. If I wanted to get my prompt back to do something right away while that's running, I create it in the background by putting an ampersand at the end. This creates a tracked job. It prints out a line that says what the job number is and the process ID of the started process to do that job. So in my example here, I can see that this was job 1 with process ID 9231. That job has been running while I've been talking. Of course, the 5 seconds has elapsed. But unless I tell Bash to pay attention to me or to do something, it's not going to report anything about those background jobs to me. Now, if I do something even as simple as pressing enter to get a fresh prompt, Bash will report to me any change in state of background jobs. That one has ended. So if I just press enter, it should tell me job 1 is done. If I have a job that hangs around longer than that, let's sleep for 60 seconds in the background, that gives me time to take a look at what's going on. This one is job 1, process number 9233. You'll notice job numbers do get reused. I can use the jobs command to get a list of the running jobs and their state. Job 1 is running, the command was sleep 60 ampersand. If I start a few more of them and ask for the jobs that are running, you can see each one is getting a new job number and they are running. If there's a job running in the background that I want to bring to the foreground, I want it to take over my keyboard and screen, not run in the background but run in the foreground, I say FG % and the job number, and it will bring that job to the foreground. where that job will continue to execute until it's done. If I want that job to keep running, but I would like it to go to the background, I push Control Z. Now in this case, one of the jobs finished in the background while this was running. The Sleep 45 finished, so Bash gave me an update on the jobs that have changed. So now I have 2 of them gone. The third one will likely terminate any moment now. We'll wait for that to finish. It won't take very long. Foreground, the FG command, without % in a job number, will bring to the foreground the last job that went to the background, or the only one if you only have one. And we can see that the job is actually finished when we try to bring it to the front. So let's go ahead and start a command running. This will be a command that will take a long time to run. I did not put an ampersand, so the job is running in the foreground. It's got my keyboard and screen occupied. I can't be doing anything else in this terminal window while this is running in the foreground. If I'd like this command to continue running, but give me back my keyboard and screen and prompt, I can push Control Z. You'll notice it created job number 1. The status of the job is stopped, and of course the command shows. If I do the jobs command, I can see it's there. You'll notice that the previous command that finished said done, not stopped. So done is a process that has finished and exited. Stopped is a process that is still there in the system, but it's not executing any code. It is paused. Control Z does not terminate a command. As a matter of fact, as long as a command is paused, it will never end. The sleep command isn't doing any real work. It's simply waiting for a timer to expire. While it's waiting, this timer will expire, but as long as the job is stopped, it can't process the fact that the timer expires. So this process will never end as long as it is stopped.